Ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? Charles here. Today I'm going to tell you a little bit about a city that's very close to my heart that we have a lot of jobs in currently, and I'm going to tell you why I think St. Louis would be a great thing for you. First of all, St. Louis is the city, Missouri is the state, it borders Illinois. St. Louis, Missouri is 1 hour and 30 minutes away from my hometown of Greenup, Illinois. Tiny little place. So I've been to St. Louis so many times for sporting events, for fun, and different things. Something you'll notice when you get there, the most identifiable thing, you could say, in St. Louis, Missouri is this. This is called the Arch. St. Louis is known as the gateway to the West, and this is the gate to the Western United States of America. This is the largest stainless steel structure in the United States. It's about 600 and some feet high, or 192 meters high. It's got an elevator in it, so you can take it all the way to the top. Also, you've got the Capitol building here, baseball stadium, a big, huge Catholic cathedral, and it runs right along the Mississippi River. Mississippi River is a big part of our history. It's the largest and most important river in the United States that used to connect the north down to the south. It's played a big part in our expansion and everything. Why St. Louis? What else do we know about St. Louis? St. Louis is located, you can see here, right almost, getting close to the center of the USA. One big important factor in that, my friends, is when you get off of the coastal areas and come inside, housing costs drop considerably. A lot of our kids on the program, they're out east, $150 a week. You come in here, it's about $70. Maybe, a lot of these students don't think of this, but you're making $12 an hour maybe there, $11 an hour, but your costs are $150 a week. You come in here, you're making about $9 an hour, but your costs are significantly less. So it averages out. This is a better deal. Also on your travel month, if you're stuck up here in Martha's Vineyard and you want to go to St. Louis or to San Diego, Las Vegas, any of those, that's expensive. We don't have Wizz Air, Pegasus, those discount airlines. So it's a little bit different story. St. Louis, if you want to go from here to here, it's cheaper. To Dallas, you want to go out east, it's pretty cheap. You want to go here, it's cheaper. So you're more centrally located, costs are a little bit less, food prices are a little bit less, and everything. Anyway, St. Louis was named after King Louis IX of France many, many years ago. It's got about 2.9 million people, so it's almost identical to Belgrade in size. The city itself has about 1 million, and then the suburbs around include, that's what this is included, similar to Belgrade when you add in Zemun and Voždovac and all that stuff. The other good thing for you Serbians is if you probably know, St. Louis is Chicago's the second biggest Serbian city on the planet. We have more Serbs in Chicago than Novi Sad and Niš. So you're only a short bus ride from Chicago. You could get up on Sunday morning and take the train or the Greyhound bus up there. Spend the day in St. Louis with your fellow Serbs. Check out your Serbian Orthodox churches and stuff there. You have some in St. Louis too, but in case you wanted to go to Chicago. The other strange thing, Chicago is the second largest Serbian city in the world. The biggest Bosnian community in the United States is in St. Louis, a few hours away. So there's roughly 70,000 Bosnians in St. Louis, but the relationship between the Bosnians and the Serbian community in that area is very good. They go to kafanas together and different places. You're going to be there during a very big celebration for the United States, the 4th of July. I've been to St. Louis on 4th of July. It's amazing. It sits right along the river. People line up there, watch the fireworks, drink their drinks. You get the state capitol. Absolutely gorgeous. It's a great experience, something you'll remember the rest of your life. The other thing I think of when a lot of students, when I talk to them about St. Louis, they say, well, what is St. Louis? I don't know anything about St. Louis. The first thing I think of, because I'm a big sports fan, and maybe some of you guys are too, first thing that pops into my head is sports. When we talk about St. Louis, it's home to the national pastime in the USA. It's our second most popular sport, baseball. I know people in this part of the world, they give me crap for liking baseball, but you go to a live game here in St. Louis, you'll love it. It's so much fun, such an exciting game, great atmosphere. It's not like Partizan or Red Star, but it's a little more laid back, but it's still a heck of a lot of fun. You can experience the whole thing looking at a beautiful view. Also, it's home to an NFL team, National Football League, the St. Louis Rams, which is the most popular sport in the USA. So you can check out maybe some of their practices before you leave. St. Louis Blues, it's a hockey and NHL, National Hockey League. the St. Louis Blues. We have a team there. We don't have basketball. There is some soccer there, but I don't know exactly the name of the team because it's not very popular in our country, but you can check that out for sure too. So there's a lot of things like that to do. Famous people, a lot of famous people from there. Nelly's from there. This guy was on the Fast and the Furious. He's from St. Louis. John Goodman, big man, but funny. He was from St. Louis. And this young lady here, she was on Everybody Loves Raymond. She's been on some other things. I don't recall her name. Food. It's known for its food also. When you come into the center of the USA, with the exception of Bosnians, there's not as much influence from different countries. When you're on the East Coast, you've got people from all over, Chinese, Hispanic, all these different cultural things. In the center of the USA, you have a little bit less of that. So you're going to find some different foods, you know. Chicago, Illinois is known for Chicago-style pizza, which is very thick. It looks like a pie. St. Louis is the opposite. It's famous for its thin crust pizza. So there's very little crust on it, very, very good stuff. Also some different desserts that they have there. So the food is wonderful. I think Midwestern food is some of the best you'll find, and that's why I look as beautiful as I do. Things to do in the city, if you can see here the quality of this, what's that remind you of? Maybe Skadarlia, if you're from Serbia. It's got your cobblestone walkways, little outdoor cafes. It looks very similar to Europe, and you don't see that a lot in the USA. So if you're missing home, you can go sit down there and have a coffee, and you'll think you're back in Serbia. It's got Union Station. This is a big shopping mall now. It used to be the hub for train departures and arrivals, but now it's like just a massively big shopping center. Great place to chill out on the weekend, spend some of the money you've earned. One of the most haunted places in the USA, it's called Limp Mansion. Limp Mansion has been on the Ghost Hunters, it's been all sorts of things. You can actually stay the night in there, and they say it's haunted, like 6 people. It used to be a brewery years and years ago, and the family, like 5 or 6 of them killed themselves in that mansion. So it's got a really bad history, but it's a great place, creepy place, something fun to do. You've got the Landing here. It's the historic riverfront of Old St. Louis. In most places in the USA, we don't have cladiolitas like you do. Gambling and stuff like that's illegal in my state. There's some casinos in Chicago, but they're on water. And also these here, a lot of people from where I'm from go to St. Louis to play the slot machines and things because they're legal here on the riverboat. It's kind of a crazy little law, and I don't know the whole thing about it. But we don't do, in the USA, we don't bet on different teams like that. We don't play poker and stuff because it's not allowed unless you go to one of these places, okay? So you serve guys that look to gamble, there you go. Other things to see in Missouri, it's awesome. St. Louis, Six Flags has this massive big park, roller coasters, everything you want to do, an awesome way to spend your day, your summer. There's even jobs out there. You could find a second job if you wanted to. It's got a bohemian district. Beautiful, expensive part of the city, absolutely gorgeous. You've got also in Missouri, the state of Missouri, this isn't in St. Louis, but there's a place called Merrimack Caverns in Stanton, not too far. Jesse James, he's one of our famous, I don't know why they glorify him, he was a criminal. He robbed banks, he killed a lot of people, but he was hiding out in a lot of these caverns, these big caves underneath the state of Missouri. You can go down there where Jesse James was at. Some other things, the Botanical Gardens is a big, big tourist attraction in St. Louis. Great place to spend the day. Hannibal, Missouri isn't too far. It was home of the birthplace of Mark Twain, famous author. I'm sure you've heard of him. You're Serbian, you're smart. It's also home to one of our biggest breweries in the USA, Anheuser-Busch. They're like one of the largest beer makers in the United States of America. They're known for their Clydesdale horses. That's what they are. So you can actually visit the Clydesdale horses that are there, and you can take a tour of the brewery and have some of their beers. Serbian, Budweiser reminds me, you have Budweiser here, but it's a Czech beer, but it's not the same as ours. And it's an okay beer. It's very popular in the USA. Branson is another place that's close by. Big theme park, a lot of country western music. And they've got you've got this big gorilla. This is how the place is set up. Kind of like a big movie set is what it is, but it's a lot of fun too. Historic, also some more history. Missouri's home to Harry S. Truman. He was a Democrat that took over after FDR to end World War II. He's the only person in the world ever to use nuclear weapons. In the USA, we look at him as like a hero. Many people around the world that I've met do not think so. They look at him as a big evil person for using the nuclear weapon, but that's history. Also, it's very, very famous for the Dred Scott decision. The Dred Scott decision was like in 1847, I think. A slave named Dred Scott, he sued his slave owner, and this decision it took a few years, but it went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court of the United States ruled against the black man. It stated that the Dred Scott decision said that blacks are not human, they're not citizens, so they can't sue their slave owners, because he tried to sue his slave owner for freedom, and they said no. Eventually, thank God, it was overturned, but it was one of the most embarrassing parts of the United States history. St. Louis to Chicago, we've got a couple companies. You're going to find out in the USA we don't have a lot of good public transportation, only in big cities. A lot of these places, small towns in the USA, 50,000 and less, a lot of them don't have public transportation. So that's why we all drive, and driving's cheaper in the USA. But one company that goes everywhere is Greyhound. It's a bus. Some places it goes, like in Chicago, St. Louis, and some of those, they're not very safe. So bring somebody with you if you always go with somebody if you're a foreigner or a young lady. I always recommend, because most upper class, how do I say it without sounding racial or without sounding bigoted, most people in a higher income bracket do not take the bus, so it goes to the lower income areas. And a lot of those lower income areas, that's where there's crime, okay, drug use and things. But you can go for about $60, you can get up to Chicago, enjoy, take a nap on the bus, whatever. Then we also have a company called Amtrak. It's a train. It's a little bit nicer. I really recommend to all the Serbian kids, if you're going to go, take Amtrak. It's a little bit safer, nicer place. And it's a lot nicer ride, of course, on a train. Our trains are better than your trains, I can tell you that. Also, if you're a religious person, I've already been in contact with the Holy Trinity Orthodox Church of St. Louis. They're excited to see some more Serbians come into town. So they're going to be there for you. You can attend church services. You can go out with the communities. They'll show you around and stuff. So it'll be nice to have some of your own people in the area. And they're trying to help find some different housing options also for you folks. So that's really, really nice to know. McDonald's locations. When we talk about these locations, these jobs, my friend Bill Croy is a wonderful guy. I went to school with him. He's a big district manager for many, many McDonald's here. And two of these locations that need Serbian kids, they're in a place called Town and Country. It's a suburb. It's a western suburb. And Chesterfield. These two locations are very wealthy area. There's airports up here and over here. This is where a lot of the upscale people live. So it's very, 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 very safe. I know many kids on this program, they've looked up St. Louis because they considered it, listening to me, and the first thing they find is Ferguson. And you might remember that big ordeal of Ferguson is where a white cop shot a young black man and created these massive riots. And that is up here, okay? And this is a long way away from here. Many, many miles, totally night and day difference. When you go to any large city in the United States, it's got over 500,000 or 1 million people. Every city like that has a bad part of town that you do not want to go to. And we won't bring race into this, but it's usually in a very poor part of town, typically. And that was the problem here. There's a lot of poverty, there's a lot of problems with crime. And so he told me to tell you that this place where you're going, he doesn't even lock his doors in his home down here. I hope nobody's listening, they might rob him, but he said this is night and day difference. This is an upscale place, this is the poverty place, okay? So you're not even going to be close there. Same in Chicago, we've got beautiful, safe parts of Chicago, then you have the south side that's very, very crime-ridden and lots of problems. It's just that way. Here in Serbia, you don't have as big of an issue with it. I still can't believe that. Novi Sad doesn't have a bad part of town. Belgrade doesn't really have a bad part of town, And I've walked all over there 3, 4 in the morning. Place like this you wouldn't want to, okay? We have lots of crime in big cities. Chesterfield, one of the locations, get into business here. This one, he needs 8 students. The pay is $8.50 an hour. You get about 35 to 40 hours a week. You could get more, maybe. He said he's got so many stores, maybe you could work a little bit at one and another to get next ones. And also, this location's great for second jobs. There's over 55 fast food restaurants in a 3-mile radius around it. You got 2 huge outlet malls, Walmart, Sam's Club, Cub, Target, Home Depot, Lowe's. These are all massive mega markets. It's easy to find work, part-time jobs in all these fast food places, easy to do. You're right by a bus station. There's an international airport in St. Louis that makes it easy to get in and get out. The other location, he needs 12 students, $8.50 an hour, same hours per week. This is the busiest location of the McDonald's. You're a few blocks from a big grocery store, Target, Whole Foods, bunch of little shops and restaurants. Good place, cheap housing, lots of opportunity for second jobs for you folks. Great place to look for second jobs and things is a site called Craigslist. You can look it up, www.craigslist.com. You click on USA, you click on the state here is Missouri, and then you click on the city, St. Louis. Pops up this big, massive thing here that helps you get to know a city, the prices and everything. You can find a boyfriend or a girlfriend here. You can find housing or a roommate here. You can talk about politics up here. You can find sporting tickets and clothing if you need it. And also you can come over here and find all the jobs. They're all here. Food and beverage and hospitality. I just pulled up when I made this. I pulled this up a while back in December. But December 23rd to 25th, this is just one page of all the different part-time jobs, full-time jobs that are available out there. Easy to find something. And that's really it, my friends. That is St. Louis. St. Louis will really give you a feel for the real United States of America. It's not an eastern coastal place. It's inside, in the center of the country. And you're going to see what it's like, the real America that you don't really see on TV. So give it a chance, give it a shot. If you have any questions, comments, or anything, send me a message. Hvala vam puno, prijetno.